This is the third movie in the After Effects series here. We're going to learn how to adjust various parameters on a layer. I'm going to start with a layer here. I've got some photos, some video of some people running at the river. And I'm going to move this disclosure triangle at layer 2 down so we can see this. And we have a transform section and an audio section. Now when you first click on this, the transform section is folded up like this. I'm going to close that disclosure triangle down. And here we see several different parameters. We have an anchor point, which is the where the center of this picture rotates about. And right now the anchor point is in the middle of the picture. We have the position, where the image lives on the screen. We have the scale, how big this image is it rotated, and the opacity, which is how transparent it is. Let me simply dial the opacity down to 50%. And behind this layer is a white solid. So I'll move this opacity down to about 50%. And you can see that it now becomes almost transparent, and we see the white background behind that. I'm going to reset that. Let me adjust the scale. And you can move your slider, your cursor, on top of any of these numbers, and you can dial them in. So now I'm adjusting the scale down to, let's go to around 60% or something like that. And then I can adjust the position. I can either adjust the position by typing in numbers here, or simply taking the picture and sliding the picture around the screen to the location. So now I've simply adjusted the position. You don't do too much with the anchor point. Rotation is right here. I can rotate the image a little bit. So if I want to look like a postcard, I can do that. So I'm going to reset. And you can click the values in any one of these. To the left of all of these attributes is what looks like a little stopwatch or a clock. And this is where you set what's called keyframes. So I'm going to set a keyframe here for the scale. And when I click on the clock, a keyframe indicator shows up on the left part of the panel, and then the keyframe itself is right in the timeline. So now I have made a keyframe at frame 0. So I think what I'll do is I'll click on the time indicator here, and I'll go to 2:00 seconds. So 2 seconds. So here's 2 seconds. And now what I'll do is I'll make another keyframe by clicking on this disclosure, this little item right here. So now I have 2 keyframes. Here's a keyframe, and here's a keyframe. So what happens with keyframes is they show up as a small diamond, and then what you can do is you can animate these over time. So this keyframe begins at 60%, and so is this one at 60%. So, and this little arrow that I clicked jumps to the previous and the next keyframe. So in the first keyframe, I'm going to make this 100%. And I'm going to move the position to be back to where it was in the center. And I'm going to make a keyframe there. So now I have a position for the keyframe, and it will shrink down to size. I'm going to use the arrow to go to the next keyframe. And now I can when I reposition this makes a new keyframe. So now I have a keyframe for the scale, and another keyframe for the scale, a keyframe for the beginning position, and then a keyframe for the ending position. So when I hit the space bar to play, now this doesn't play in real time because it's processor intensive. It takes a long time to figure out how to do this. So it doesn't play exactly as fast as you would think it does. So there's how that works. And that's how we do keyframes. Now, most of these several transforms, you can use a keyboard shortcut. So for example, if I just hit the letter P, it shows the position only. If I hit the letter S, it shows the scale. If I hit the letter T, it shows the opacity. And so those are quick ways to just set your parameters.